Welcome to Mormon Book Reviews and Evangelical Encounters, the Restoration. So in lieu of posting an interview today, I just got back into town from the Mormon History Association late last night. And I have some interviews taped, but I decided not to release anything while I was gone out of town. So I just thought I'd give everybody kind of an update of how last week went up until yesterday, actually, with the Mormon History Association, as well as going out to Nauvoo, Illinois to help publicize and even participate, if you will, in an archaeological dig happening in Nauvoo. So basically, just let everybody know, first of all, I have a good friend who's been on Mormon Stories as well as my program. I didn't get permission to get his name, but he let me stay at his place in Park City for the first 2 nights, which was really cool. My first full day in Utah, I got to go to spend an afternoon at Benchmark Books, and Chris Bench gave me a tour of the facilities. And then after that, I hopped on an Uber and went to the Church History Museum for the first time at their church library. And then I hooked up with Jonathan Neville and a friend, I think his name's Jerry, I don't remember the names exactly, who's co-writing a book with Jonathan. And we got a tour of the Beehive House. So that was really interesting, my first full day there. And then I got back out to Park City. And then actually, no, I got out to my meet and greet that night, which was really cool. So we had about 30 people show up to the meet and greet. And it was really this great mix. You had polygamists, you had Christians, you had Mormons, you had just this atheists, post-Mormons, ex-Mormons, never-Mos, and just a nice assortment of people all sitting at the table, all breaking bread together, and all being able to get along. So it was really cool, like I was talking to Leah Merritt, who was a guest of mine, and she was talking to Benjamin Schaefer, and Benjamin Schaefer was talking about, the afterlife and exaltation. And I went to Leah and I'm like, Leah, this is like talking to Brigham Young. And she had a big smile on her face. She's like, yeah, so it was really cool just to have all these people here. And Sandra Tanner came back again. So that was really cool to have Sandra back on with us as well. So meet and greet was great. Then I headed out to Logan, Utah for the Mormon History Association. And Thursday night, they had an art exhibit. Claudia Bushman was the president of the MHA for this past year for this session. And so they kind of brought in like a lot of art and stuff into the program. So it was kind of like really cool. And so they had an art exhibit. And at the time I got to have a really cool conversation with Richard Bushman. He really likes what I'm doing. I gave him an update on how well the channel is doing. And he was just very excited and very happy for me and very interested in hearing. That's the cool thing about Richard Bushman, is that he's a listener and he'll take the time. Now, I'm always respectful of his time. I don't want, because everybody there wants to talk to him, So I'm not one of those persons who's going to take a half hour or 45 minutes of his time. I just need 5 or 10 minutes, just to kind of check in on him, tell him how things are going. And he might come back on the program soon too. So that's really excited. So that was cool. So then on Saturday morning, we had the book drawing for the Jonathan Neville books, which I had Jonathan Neville be the one to pick out the books, and congratulations to the winners. I'll be getting those out to you next week, just so you know, just got back into town. I also want to thank Gene Judson, who's a fan of the program. He drove all the way up from Northern California to attend the Mormon History Association for the first time. Really cool dude. He filmed the segment for us. So thanks, Gene, for that. And you gave me this book. He said, do you have this book? I said, nope. He said, well, there it is. So that's about the only extra book I could fit on my carry-on. So thanks to Gene. Claudia Bushman. So Mormon History Association was great. So it took place, the main sessions were Friday and Saturday. And it was really good, really interesting. Jonathan got to present his paper. I made a point to try to go to all the sessions that people who had been guests on my program were giving talks. And it was so wild because I would walk into a room and I'd see 3 or 4, whether they're up on stage or in the audience, people who had been on my program. And so I made a point to try to get out to any session that a previous guest on my program was on. It was hard to do because sometimes there was a lot of concurrent sessions going on, but I was able to get pictures with most of my guests. I forgot to get the picture with Mark Staker, but Mark Staker is coming back on soon. So that's really exciting. And then Claudia Bushman gave the closing address, and it was really fascinating Saturday night. Just hearing her story. She's in her 90s and she was a full-time historian as well as a mother of 5. It was interesting hearing her story. So that was really great. And thanks to Claudia Bushman for a great job as president for Mormon History Association. So Monday morning, I actually had breakfast with John Dehlin. And we just had a good talk. Just John and I are friends. And it was just good to sit down and spend a couple hours with him and just have a good conversation. So John, I just want to thank you for everything. And hopefully I'll be getting out there in July for the Sunstone Conference. And maybe we'll do something when I get back in the town. Also, speaking of Sunstone, for those of you who haven't heard, I will be the umpire for the kickball game that happens at the end of Sundance. I guess it's like the big deal at the end. I don't really know, but that's what I've been told, where they have a kickball contest between the fundamentalists and the ex-Mormons. So that should be fun. And so that's great. So Lindsay Hansen Park got me hooked up with that. Let's see, I'm just going through my list here. So then John Dehlin, I have breakfast with John Dehlin, then he drops me off at Sandra Tanner's house. So I got to go inside Sandra Tanner's house and visit with her and my friend Allison, and we were up to mischief, but we had a nice time talking in Sandra's living room and having a talk. And then next door, Bill McKeever had a group of college students that was giving a lecture. Now, Bill McKeever is like one of the top Christian apologists in Utah, Mormon Research Ministry or something. I forget what it's called, but I've read some of his materials and I've watched some of his videos on YouTube. So I introduced myself to him. He actually didn't know who I was, which I was a little surprised by, but the pastor or the chapter president of the college group that was there, I think he's a pastor or chaplain or whatever for the group. He recognized me and I had a good talk with him, but I kind of stood in the hallway, kind of listening to Bill McKeever. And it's like, our approaches are so different. I even told Bill, I said, I'm taking a completely different approach to this. He's all about winning arguments and proselytizing, and I'm all about relationship, friendship. And not only do I hope to be able to maybe impart or teach people things, but I also want to learn from them. So it's not about me coming in there and say, well, I know this, and this is where you're wrong. And this is why you're going to hell. Not interested in having that conversation. There's plenty of other ministries that do that kind of stuff. And, I don't want to be too critical, but there's a lot, but what I'm doing is very different. It's not a proselytizing thing. It genuinely is just to have a conversation and acquire knowledge, information, and gain some wisdom and insights on this whole thing too. And most importantly, having friendships and relationships. So that was really cool. And then I actually Sunday night I had dinner with somebody. His name's slipping me real quick, but a scholar that's going to be presenting at Mormon History Association. I should have had it written down in my notes and I apologize for that, but he previewed a paper that he's going to be writing. I'll be posting something about him on Facebook. Also, we do have a private Facebook group called Mormon Book Reviews. So if you come across that on Facebook, just request to join, just answer a few questions and you'll be let into the group. It's just a small group. We just basically want it for our guests, fans, and subscribers to the channel. So I flew out with Tuesday night. Now Rick Bennett, of course, by the way, Rick Bennett his mother passed away last week. So he was not AWOL. He just was unable to attend part of the Mormon History Association, but he came back today, Friday, actually, with his mother's funeral. And so rest in peace. Rick, you're a good friend. And I'm just glad we were able to hang out. So we ended up going out basically Wednesday morning. We took a rental, drove up to Nauvoo and met with Jeff McCullough of Hello Saints, another evangelical who's kind of doing the same thing I'm doing, but it's different because I know a lot. I've already learned a lot about Mormonism. He doesn't know a whole lot, but so he's in this learning curve where he's learning about Mormonism as he's encountering and engaging the restoration, engaging the LDS. He also got to engage the community of Christ because we were participating in a dig site in Nauvoo for where the Times and Seasons was for a while, and also the 1840 Book of Mormon was published in that particular building. So we were helping to publicize and also tell people that up until June 17th, you can actually be a volunteer and help participate in this archaeological site. So that's really cool. Let's see. And then we did have another meet and greet that Wednesday night, but it was kind of thrown together at the last minute because it was touch and go because of Rick's mom and everything. So we weren't sure we were going to do it. So I wasn't able to publicize it. So a few people show up, but there was one person who came like 3.5 hours from Iowa. So we decided to close up shop at Camp Nauvoo and meet her in Iowa for dinner. So that's what we did. And she just drove 3.5 hours, spent like a half hour with us, and she headed back. So, and her name's Deb, and she's been watching this program for a long time now, and she really enjoys it. And it just really meant a lot to me that Deb came all this way just to come say hi and meet me and Rick. And that was really cool. So this was really quite, I didn't want to post an interview tonight. I'm going to be taping some more stuff next week. Very excited where this channel is going, lining up some more great guests. I do want to ask for those of you who, there have been people who have mentioned to me that they'd like to be Patreons or supporters of the program. I would just encourage you to, there are links in the description where if you want to become a Patreon, you can do that. Or if you want to sign up just to give me like if you want to give me $50 or $100 on PayPal, I'll have a link there too. Also, just a reminder, our merch store is actually brought in $100 profit last month. I was surprised by that. So we are bringing in revenue now. Here are some buttons that I had printed for the meet and greet, but it came a day late. Allison got them in the mail the day after our meet and greet in Utah. So we have buttons and all sorts of really cool things in the merch store. So you just go to mormonbookreviews.com. That is our merch store. We have hats. We have somebody pullovers. We have t-shirts. We've got iPod cases, mouse pads. So, if you're looking to support the channel that way, that's awesome too. And yeah, so everything's going really great. I just wanted to give everybody an update on where things are going. I want to thank everybody for the very positive feedback I get. It's really cool to get financial support from Christians as well as active LDS and people who are post-Mormon. I just, they encompass the whole restoration, and it's really awesome. And I feel really privileged to be a part of this community. That's one thing I told Rick. I said, last year, nobody knew me at the Mormon History Association. And this year, it's like I was part of the tribe. Like I would go to introduce myself to somebody like, oh, no, I know who you are. I watch your program. Like, whoa, that's pretty wild, dude. So it's kind of cool to be part of a community. As many of you know, I was depressed for a long time and I didn't have a community, and now I do. And those of you who are viewers of my program, you're part of that community as well. So just remember, if you ever want to reach out, you can reach me at mormonbookreviews@gmail.com. I get quite a few emails. I don't always get back in touch right away just because I get overwhelmed sometimes and I got to pace myself. But you can reach me that. If you're on Facebook, you can friend request me. Just tell me you're a friend of the show, or just join my private group, mormonbookreviews@gmail.com. That'd actually probably be a better place because as good as my personal thing too. So look to do that. Try to think. We're going to get some more stuff loaded on the podcast format. We had a little issue with the payment. They wouldn't accept our PayPal card, even though it was all legit. So we're going to try to start getting more of the program in the audio format out in the next week as well. I think I've covered everything. I just want to thank everybody for just supporting this channel. It's really, it's growing, it's exploding. You'd be really surprised some of the projects we have coming down the road. It's going to be really cool. We're breaking ground. We're having fun. We're facilitating communication. We're getting people to talk to each other. The bridge building continues. And I just want to thank all of those who just remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification button for when a new episode comes out. And you have yourself a great day.